The National Electrical Code, or NEC, specifies different conduit fill percentages based on the number of conductors within the conduit. Specifically, the code allows for a 31% fill when there are only 2 conductors present, but increases the allowable fill to 40% when there are 3 or more conductors. The basis for this difference lies in the phenomenon of conductor jamming. When pulling 2 conductors through a conduit, they have a tendency to align in such a way that they effectively bind or jam against each other and the conduit walls. This jamming effect increases the friction during the pull, making the process more difficult and potentially damaging to the conductor insulation. The limited 31% fill for 2 conductors is intended to mitigate this jamming effect by providing more free space within the conduit. This additional space allows for some degree of conductor movement and reduces the likelihood of them binding tightly against each other. In contrast, when 3 or more conductors are present in a conduit, the probability of jamming is significantly reduced. The presence of multiple conductors tends to disrupt any potential alignment that could lead to jamming. The conductors essentially support each other and prevent the formation of a stable jammed configuration. Consequently, the National Electrical Code permits a higher fill percentage of 40% for 3 or more conductors. The increased fill percentage allows for more efficient use of the conduit space without a significant increase in the risk of conductor damage or difficulty in pulling. The specific example of using 2 350 kc mil RHH conductors illustrates this principle. These conductors would overfill a 2-inch conduit based on the specifications in Table C8 of the National Electrical Code. However, if 1 or 2 number 10 THHW conductors are added to the conduit, the fill calculations change. Using Table 5 to determine the cross-sectional area of each conductor, you can now use the 40% fill column in Table 4 to determine if the conduit fill is compliant. This allowance is because the smaller number 10 THHW conductors effectively fill the void space between the 2 larger 350 kc mil conductors, preventing them from jamming. The smaller conductors act as spacers, disrupting any potential alignment that could lead to binding and increased friction. While the 31% and 40% fill rules are established guidelines, it is crucial to understand that they represent general recommendations and should not be considered absolute limits. In certain situations, it might be possible to safely pull more conductors than the rules strictly permit. However, it is essential to approach such scenarios with extreme caution and conduct thorough calculations to ensure that the conductor insulation will not be damaged and that the pulling process can be performed without excessive force. Adhering to the established fill rules is always the best practice, as it minimizes the risk of conductor damage, simplifies the pulling process, and ensures long-term reliability of the electrical system. In addition to the basic fill percentages, the National Electrical Code includes various tables and calculations to determine the allowable fill for different types of conduits and conductors. These tables take into account factors such as conductor size, insulation type, and conduit material. It is essential to consult these tables and perform the necessary calculations to ensure compliance with the code requirements. Factors such as the number of bends in the conduit run, the type of lubricant used during pulling, and the pulling equipment employed can also influence the ease of installation and the potential for conductor damage. Sharp bends in the conduit run increase friction and make pulling more difficult, while the use of an appropriate lubricant can significantly reduce friction and protect the conductor insulation. Selecting the appropriate pulling equipment, such as a power puller or a manual tugger, can also help to ensure a smooth and controlled installation. Always consider the impact of ambient temperature on conductor ampacity. Higher temperatures reduce the current carrying capacity of conductors, so it may be necessary to increase the conductor size or use a high temperature rated insulation to compensate for the effects of temperature. Gating factors for conductor ampacity are found in NEC Table 310.15. It is crucial to properly torque all electrical connections to ensure a reliable and safe electrical system. Over-torquing or under-torquing connections can lead to overheating, arcing, and potential fires. Always follow the manufacturer's torque specifications and use a calibrated torque wrench to ensure proper tightness. Always visually inspect conductors for any signs of damage such as cuts, abrasions, or discoloration. Damaged conductors should be replaced to prevent potential electrical hazards. Always perform insulation resistance testing on conductors after installation to verify the integrity of the insulation. Low insulation resistance indicates a potential fault or weakness in the insulation, which could lead to ground faults or short circuits. When working with electrical systems, always prioritize safety and follow all applicable safety procedures. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as gloves, safety glasses, and arc-rated clothing. To energize and lock out the circuit before working on any electrical component. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of regulations that govern the safe installation of electrical systems. It is essential for all electricians and electrical contractors to be familiar with the code requirements and to follow them diligently to ensure the safety of people and property. Continual education and training are crucial for staying up to date with the latest code changes and best practices. The electrical industry is constantly evolving, with new technologies and materials being introduced regularly. It is important to stay informed about these developments and to adapt installation practices accordingly. Safe electrical installations are essential for the reliable operation of buildings and equipment. By following the National Electrical Code and adhering to sound electrical practices, you can help to ensure a safe and efficient electrical system. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician if you have any doubts or concerns. Proper grounding is essential for electrical safety. The grounding system provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which allows the overcurrent protection device, such as a circuit breaker or fuse, to trip in to energize the circuit. Improper grounding can lead to electrical shock hazards and equipment damage. Regularly inspect grounding connections to ensure that they are tight and free from corrosion. Use appropriate grounding clamps and connectors to ensure a reliable connection. When working with metal conduit, ensure that all sections are properly bonded together to provide a continuous grounding path. Use grounding bushings or bonding jumpers to connect the conduit to electrical equipment. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when installing electrical equipment. Incorrect installation can lead to equipment malfunction, electrical hazards, and voiding of warranties. Properly label all electrical panels and circuits to facilitate troubleshooting and maintenance. Use clear and legible labels that accurately identify the circuits. Keep electrical panels clean and free from obstructions. Ensure that there is adequate working space around electrical panels to allow for safe access and maintenance. The NEC specifies minimum working clearances for electrical equipment in section 110.26. When running conductors through walls or floors, use appropriate sleeves or grommets to protect the insulation from abrasion. Avoid running conductors through areas where they could be exposed to physical damage. Support conductors properly to prevent strain on connections and to ensure that they are not subjected to excessive bending. Use cable ties, straps, or other appropriate supports to secure the conductors. Avoid over-tightening cable ties, as this can damage the conductor insulation. When terminating conductors, use the correct type and size of connector. Ensure that the connector is properly tightened to provide a secure and reliable connection. Use a torque wrench to tighten connectors to the manufacturer's specified torque. When splicing conductors, use an approved splicing method, such as wire nuts or crimp connectors. Ensure that the splice is properly insulated to prevent short circuits. Always test splices to ensure that they are mechanically and electrically sound. When working with high voltage equipment, such as transformers or switchgear, take extra precautions to ensure safety. To energize and lock out the equipment before working on it. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as high voltage gloves and arc-rated clothing. Use insulated tools to prevent electrical shock. Never work alone when working with high voltage equipment. Always have a qualified person present to provide assistance and to ensure that safety procedures are followed. Perform regular maintenance on electrical equipment to ensure that it is operating safely and efficiently. Inspect equipment for signs of wear, damage, or corrosion. Clean equipment regularly to remove dust and debris. Lubricate moving parts as needed. Test equipment periodically to verify that it is functioning properly. Keep accurate records of all maintenance activities. Proper electrical installations are essential for the safety of people and property. By following the National Electrical Code and adhering to sound electrical practices, you can help to ensure a safe and reliable electrical system.